welcome to Picture Book Chat. I'm Mary Ellen Bratz, and with me today is Sheri Boggs. Hi, Sheri.
Hi, Mel. How's it going?
Good. It's good to see you again.
Good to see you too.
And we're here to talk picture books again.
We've got some good ones.
Yeah, so excited. So do you want to start with our very first one?
I do. So this is a board book. This is The Very Hungry Caterpillar Eats Lunch. This now I'm stuttering. This one jumped out to me because I know in one of our previous picture book chats we did The Very Hungry Caterpillar Eats Breakfast, and it was a similar format from the same publisher. And I think that one was about counting. This one is all about colors.
Yes.
And as I said when we talked about that one, sometimes I get really cynical when a publisher will just take a popular character and license it and release thing after thing. Like you see it a lot with Dr. Seuss stuff. I'm seeing it with The Very Hungry Caterpillar a lot. But I feel differently because I feel like these books are really well done. And I'm going to talk about what it is I like about them. First of all, I just love how vibrant these colors are. I'm going to try to hold it up closer. And there's actually kind of a story to it. So it's time for lunch. How many different colored foods can the very hungry caterpillar eat? So we start with red, and I just love that you've got like even a little cracker in your soup bowl. I like that there's different foods on the page. You've got your strawberries, you've got your soup. Like, look at the gold of that macaroni and cheese.
I know.
Delicious. I know. I was like, oh yeah, it's time for lunch. On the yellow page, we've got tacos. So there are all these different things that he's going to eat. I like that there's like this little hole in the page. Like it's actually die cut through the whole book. And at first I was like, oh, what are you supposed to do with that? Then I'm like, oh, it's to indicate the caterpillar is like going through the book. Yeah, like you don't have to do anything with it. It's just kind of like a fun little element. And so it goes through the book, like naming all the different things he can eat. But I like that it offers opportunities to ask questions. There's things like, how many other yellow foods do you see on this page? I like this page. Is he eating candy? Like, I think that's really going to be fun for kids.
Yeah.
And it goes in like your Roy G. Biv order. So it starts with red, orange, yellow, green, blue. And then I love that it stops there and it includes brown foods, black foods, and white foods, which was kind of unexpected. But I was just like, oh yeah, like black beans, like white tortillas and a quesadilla. Like I love the diversity of the foods in the book too. Like there's your yummy things. I like that there's some solid nutrition going on in this book. The purple pages are gorgeous.
And that purple potato.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's really unusual. So Mary Ellen, what did you think of this one?
I loved it. I wasn't sure what to expect like you. And even though it's this board book format, I feel like it would be really fun to use with young preschoolers too, in addition to toddlers. And I love the little hole going through showing that the caterpillar's eating it. And I love the last page too with the, I'm always looking at the end papers with the rainbow. And that is something, looking at the end papers was from a class that the Eric Carle Museum taught, was looking at picture books artistically. And I noticed that they are mentioned in the foreword too, that you can visit. They give the Carle Museum website too. But yes, I really enjoyed this. I mean, there's so many activities you can do with this book, and you can have them draw their favorite foods. I mean, you can count the foods on the page too. And you can try some of the foods maybe that you haven't tried yet, like that purple potato. That would be fun. And I thought it would be good for a group or one-on-one. The group couldn't get too big because the book is only so big.
Mary Ellen, I was going to ask you, because this is a board book and often people associate board books with babies. Is this something that you would use with a baby?
Oh, see, I think it's a little bit too complex to use with babies, which, yes, is right. It's confusing. That's why I mentioned it would be a good one for preschoolers. But that's a good point, because, I mean, I think I would still give this as a baby gift. I don't know. You could point at things and name things and identify different fruits and vegetables.
probably some good contrast with the white background.
Yes. In the bright colors. And I mean, the text isn't so long on each page, but my first thought wasn't that this was a baby book. It was
Right.
more of a toddler and preschool book. So
Yeah, well put. So would you like to move on to another book?
sure, let's move on to
Maybe,
Lion Lullaby.
yes, let's talk about Lion Lullaby. Mary Ellen,
I-
did you want to talk about this one first?
Sure. Well, this one is really cute. It follows lions. It's a counting book because it's adding lions, little baby lions as you go across. It's got these beautiful illustrations on here of,
Mhm.
you know, the habitat where lions live. It starts off with one little lion perched in a tree. Where is it looking and what does it see? So it's got some rhyming in it too. A monkey is bouncing a babe on its knee. Oh, little lion, hurry on home. And so I really like that it doesn't just have the lions, that it
Yeah,
has other animals in it. And then it adds a lion each time you go. Then there's two little lions, and like this one's talking to a snake. And then it keeps going. It's a great bedtime book because it ends with all the lions sleeping at the end. So again, the illustrations are gorgeous. I thought I really liked them.
I do
But
too.
um, but it's got the counting and it's got the rhyming, so it would make a great book for STEM as you're counting the lions. I thought, yeah, it would work really well with any type of accounting unit or even an animal unit. You do the animal unit and you're talking about the different kinds of animals, and then, you know, the plus is that you've got some counting in there too. So what did you think of this one, Sheri?
I really like this one. And as a buyer, like when I'm looking at books that I might recommend to you and the rest of the early learning team, I'm always looking for something, well, first age appropriate, but then I love books. And I think I've said this before, that do a number of different things. And like you're saying, like this is a great bedtime book. It's a great counting book. You learn a lot about lions and savannas from this book. Like it's a pretty solid informational book, even though it's not set out to be nonfiction.
Right.
And like another thing I noticed was like the sound of the words, like vocabulary wise, I think it's doing a lot. One of the ones I noticed: crickets, dunes, peeps. Like you're learning new words, but I also feel like the sound of the language is really soothing and good for bedtime. So this is one of those ones, like it's not a big splashy, brightly colored book, but I think it's just a really solid child-friendly book.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, I think it's and I think it'd be good for toddlers. What do you think it would be good for toddlers and preschoolers?
Definitely
preschoolers?
preschoolers. I think it would be good for toddlers if their toddler likes to sit and you know, and it might be good, you know, towards the end of the evening if you are using it as a bedtime story, an older toddler. But with the rhyming in it, that will appeal to more toddlers, I think, too. So usually if they can hear the kind of cadence of the language, then you kind of draw them in. But yeah, probably depends on how active your toddlers are. But you know, toddlers can be walking around and doing all this stuff, and you ask a question, they turn around and they answer you. So, you know, just depending on the kiddo that's there.
Yeah, that's a
it
good
might work.
point. Yeah. So once again, everyone, that was Lion Lullaby by Kate Banks.
Yeah.
It's really hard to do this without a glare.
Yeah.
I think I got it. So we have a couple more to talk about, and I'm really excited about this next one, as you know, because it's somewhere in the Bayou, and it's by Jarrett and Jerome Pumphrey. They happen to be brothers.
Yeah.
And it's not clear. It seems like they both collaborate on the art and the words. I didn't get the sense that one just does the illustration, the other just does the words. Anyway, let me set up the story. So we've got 4 animals that need to cross. Here we go. That need to cross a creek. And as you can see, they've encountered a log, which is going to make that a lot easier. But next to the log is this kind of menacing long green tail. So right away you set up your conflict, and they're all asking each other. It's kind of like graphic novel slash comic book panels. What should we do? What is it? Should we find another way? No, there's only one way past this sneaky tail. And that's to tiptoe past it. And so you see him doing that. He's wobbling. This is the possum. Smack, splash. And so each animal sees the tail a different way. The possum sees it as sneaky. I think another one sees it as mean.
Yeah.
Yet another one sees it as scary. And so how they see the tail informs how they're going to try to get across. And as you can see, it's not always going to go well. And when we get to our fourth animal, it's the mouse. And so he watches what happens with everybody else and changes his approach accordingly.
Mm-hmm.
So this one, Mary Ellen, you and I were talking about, like, it's just a really funny book, but I also love the style of the art. I like this kind of woodcut look.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's in keeping with kind of the Bayou setting. Like these kind of earthy colors. Tell me what you thought about it.
I wasn't sure what to expect. And like I think I said earlier, I just laughed out loud. Luckily, I was alone in the house when I was reading it. Because I just couldn't stop laughing. Now, some of the kids may be a little horrified at the end. But so I definitely recommend this for preschool, older preschool and up. But I really liked the way they talked about, they were making assumptions about the tale and assigning, and it didn't go well for them at all. And so the little mouse takes a different approach, and he has a different result at the end. So I really liked it. I think it's a great book for discussion. So you can really discuss some different things, about, well, why do you think he thought the tail was mean? And you could talk about that. Well, what do you think he could think? How could he think differently? So you can really get some good open-ended questions going that would, spur on some discussion. And you could ask the kids how they felt when each animal dealt with that tail. How did you feel when he said that tail was mean? What had the tail done that was mean yet?
It's
And of
just
course
sitting there.
it's just sitting there. Of course, maybe the animal had seen it smack the other animal. But you can also talk about the ending and were they expecting that? So that's why I think that older preschool age would be really good for this one. But I did like the color scheme on this one. The only thing I'd have to try it with a larger group to see how the colors translate with a bigger group, but definitely for a small group or one-on-one, it would be great. But I did really like the color scheme in this. I just thought it was really nice. It's very soft. It's you tell you're out in nature. And I like the bayou scene and everything. So I thought they did a great job on this. I hadn't seen their other books, so I'm interested to see.
Yeah, there's a couple others that we have in our collection. So I was talking to somebody here in the department, and it's like, I don't remember having looked at those, but after seeing this one, I want to go back and look at their earlier work. And I wanted to I think I can show these pages without giving away the ending, but I love the subtle, like, visual humor of these panels. I love the mouse, like, funny, I always thought alligators ate mice. And I love that he's looking forward and then, like, he looks up. And he's like, oh, we do. I won't get away. Like, there's some really sly stuff just in the design of it that I think is really fun and smart. It's great. I love this.
The expressions on all the animals' faces are fantastic. I mean, I just thought they were really good, and you can really kind of get a feeling for how the conversation is going and, and what's going to happen at the end. So I enjoyed that one a lot. I thought it was a lot of fun. But like I said, read it yourself first before you read it to the child you're going to read it to, because the ending is such that they, some might be like, whoa, books don't do that usually.
Not
So
contemporary books.
yeah. So yeah, you might just want to read it first. So and make sure it'll work for your kiddo and not be a huge surprise
Or
or upsetting.
traumatizing incident.
Yes. Hmm.
So we've got one left.
Yes.
And this one is called Lift. I love these colors on this one. Lift Mix Fling. Machines
Hmm.
can do anything. So right away, this one appealed to me just because it's so bright. And it made me think about, and Mary Ellen, since you deal so much with STEM, you'll have to tell me if you had this response too, but it made me think of machines in a completely different way. Like, I think before looking at this, I would have defined a machine as something a lot more complicated than the way this book looks at them. And this
Hmm.
book, I love the way they describe a machine is something that uses force to help you do something. And so they're saying like an ice cream scoop is a machine, a
Yeah.
wheel is a machine,
Hmm.
like a wedge that you would use as a doorstop is a machine. And I was just like, wow, light bulb.
Yeah.
Like I probably learned that at some point and completely forgot. And then it takes that basic knowledge of what a simple machine is and talks about like the kinds of things that we would think of as more of a machine, like pulleys and
Hmm.
drones and bicycles and things that have a bunch of simple machines working together.
It's a
Um,
great introduction to a unit on machines for kids. And I could
yeah.
see pairing it with what is it, the most magnificent thing. I
Mhm.
think it would go along great with that book.
Yeah.
But yeah, I know I really like this one. So um I was excited for the end papers too.
Oh, let me look. Oh my
Because
goodness. Yeah, those are
you got the
great.
tools, but at the back, you've got the end papers, but it also has a definition of all the words they use. So I really liked that too.
Yeah.
Mhm.
This is a tricky one in terms of deciding where it's going to live in the library
Mhm.
because it could either go in picture books or nonfiction.
Oh
And it,
yeah.
like I almost don't want it to put it in nonfiction just because, somebody looking for something to read aloud, I don't want them to miss this one because this is an informational text that would be great for story time, I think. Like, I think
Oh,
it's simple enough.
definitely. The rhyming in it is wonderful.
Yeah.
And the pictures are really engaging. Um,
Hmm.
yeah, like you said, the illustrations are awesome in here. And they're
Yeah.
so
And the
bright and colorful and diverse.
diverse. Yeah.
I
I was
really
just
like
going to
that.
say, yeah.
Yeah. So, and especially my little favorite character is the one on the end paper here, where she's in her little girl in her goggles, and she's ready to do some STEM there and do some machine work, and I love
You've
that.
got to love giving children drills.
Yeah. Well, and there's so much to look on each page. So if you've
Mhm.
got a child who's really into detail, um, and they really like to, look at all that's going on the page, there's a ton to talk about on each page. I mean, it's great for story time, but it's also great for individual one-on-one too, that you can really point things out. So yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point. Like I was impressed with all the different machines you learn about in this book.
Hmm.
And things that I wouldn't, that maybe aren't as obvious.
Well,
Like,
like an inclined plane, they talk about an inclined
yeah,
plane, um, which I thought was really awesome.
or the lids on a jar being a kind of screw. I was just like,
Yes.
oh, yeah, you're right. So I like that there's things that are relevant to like a child's immediate surroundings, like things that you find in the kitchen, and then also things out in the world that are fascinating to small children, like ships and tractors and,
Hmm.
other kinds of
Or
vehicles.
think of a shovel, staircases too, a fan, a skate, and the ramps at the zoo. I mean, all of those, yeah, that they are machines. So
Yeah.
they talk about machines doing more than one thing.
Hmm.
Really nice. Yeah. I mean, what was your general thought about the book?
I think it's great. And I like this is one we haven't cataloged yet. So like I was saying,
Mhm.
I've got to figure out where it's going to
Yeah.
live in the library. So I might just cheat and look and see how other libraries have handled it once enough of
Hmm.
them get this book. But I I was really excited about it. And I think this is one, like sometimes when we get a book in and I have a chance to look at it, I will go back and order more. So like all of our
Mhm.
libraries have one. And I think this might be the case with this one.
Yeah.
Because I think it's just going to be in high demand wherever it
Mhm.
goes. But yeah, I think it's just brilliant. And I wanted to talk to you about like the appropriate ages if you haven't already touched on that and I didn't catch it. But are you thinking like preschool or maybe even
Mhm.
early elementary? Or
Yeah,
do you think it's
preschool,
okay?
early elementary. I think it would be really great for kindergarten.
Oh yeah.
If you're talking about machines or even first grade, um, I think there'd still be some appeal. It'd be a great introduction if you're doing a lot of things on machines and some of the basic concepts. It'd be, yeah, like I said, just a great introduction for them. I mean, you could have the kids talk about, well, what's your favorite machine? Or what
Mhm.
other things can you think of that are machines? So it, I think it would give kids a lot of good ideas to how to look at things differently.
Mhm.
So, so like, I mean, yeah, just everything that they use, the broom or the
Mhm.
mop or, dustpan.
It's gonna blow your mind.
Yes.
Like everything's a machine.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I'm glad you liked that one too. That's all of
hmm
our books for today, Mary Ellen.
Yeah. Another good set. Thank you, Sheri.
You're
These are
welcome.
fun. It's fun. Figure if I always get one good laugh out of each,
I know.
set that we do, we're doing really good. So, well, thank everyone for joining us today. Thank you. We appreciate it. And we'll see you next month for some more great picture books. So have a great day. Bye.
Bye.